Aaron Judge was talking about it openly, and then Aaron Boone is like, oh no, he's going up there for a personal issue. Well, which is it?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and right next to me, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian, happy Tuesday.
Stacey, happy Tuesday. Lots of news that came out.
Yes. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when those videos go live. On today's show, we're paying our respects to an MSG Network legend. Jason Dominguez is going to go through some growing pains in left field, so everyone needs to calm down. But first, I don't think we should calm down about this. Giancarlo Stanton is by now in New York seeing the Yankees doctor for his bad elbows.
Yeah, it's funny the way the news came out today. There's two levels of reaction that need to be appropriately assessed here. The Dominguez stuff we'll get to in segment number 2, but I think since the Stanton news has come out, the reaction that you should have as a Yankee fan has gotten worse and worse and worse. I think when it first came out, we were like, all right, it seems like an injury, but who knows? Maybe he's back mid-April. Who knows what's going to happen here? Now it feels like this is a more long-term thing. Now it feels like, hey, get back by the middle of the summer so we can have you for the postseason.
Yeah.
That's at least the way that I'm reacting to it. Him pausing or delaying your workout schedule for spring training is one thing. Not being in Florida with the team, going back up to New York to get more tests done, that's a very bad sign. Apparently he was able to get surgery last offseason or this past offseason and opted not to. And his response to that was not one that you want to hear from a player. When they asked him, why did you not opt to get surgery when the World Series ended last year? His response was, I don't know. That's not a good response to hear from. And then Aaron Boone kind of like relaxed on the it's a personal issue, health kind of thing for Stanton. So Aaron Boone didn't have to answer questions. I don't know. Very confusing stuff. Not a good feeling if you're a Yankee fan.
Well, here's the thing. We're going through this. The Yankees never know how to release news about injuries thing that always happens because Aaron Judge was talking about it openly, and then Aaron Boone is like, oh no, he's going up there for a personal issue. Well, which is it? What's he going for? Is he going for the elbows, or is it a totally different issue? Like, get your stories together. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's very obviously the elbows, right? Like, there's no personal issue that if he was leaving the team for a personal issue in the middle of spring training, I'd love to know what that personal issue is. I would. I mean, there's no way that it could be anything that's important enough for Giancarlo Stanton to leave. Plus, I mean, let's be real. With Giancarlo Stanton's reputation around the league, he does put the team first. He does put his baseball career first. So I highly doubt there was some kind of personal issue that made him have to leave camp. It's the injury. He's going up to the Yankee doctors. But again, Stacey, anytime a player leaves camp and goes to see the personal doctors up in New York, it's not a good sign at all. This happened last year with Garrett Cole. The same thing. Remember, he left camp to go see the Yankees personal doctors, and then he went to California to go see the doctors out there. It was very nerve-wracking. And
he went to see the ultimate elbow doctor in California, which freaked everyone out. So
yes, exactly.
If Stanton just sees the Yankee doctor and the Yankee doctor does something, it for some reason doesn't feel as scary as him going all the way out to see Dr. Elatrach because he's like the Tommy John dude. So yeah.
The only good news I would say here is the fact that Stanton is not a fielder. He's primarily their DH. So I don't think even if he needed elbow surgery at this point, which was weird that he would probably need, I guess, dual elbow surgery on both elbows, because why would one be better than the other? They said he has it in both elbows.
But let's say this isn't reconstructive elbow surgery. They're probably going in to clean up like loose bodies or something that's happening in there. Like it wouldn't be like he's getting Tommy John
who knows?
or some sort of internal sleeve.
Who knows? The Yankees haven't been clear with that. Neither is Stanton, so we really don't know what's going on in the long term. The only good thing is he won't have to return to the field, so he doesn't have to get back on a throwing program. There's no fear in him running into a wall to make a catch or a dive where he dives wrong. It's just hitting, and I don't know if you want to call what Stanton does running, but it's just him being out there. That's it. So, I don't like, though, the way this has been handled by the team, because it came out as a kind of mundane first day of camp kind of report that's where to throw out there, and it's increasingly gotten worse. So I think if you're a fan and you're freaking out, you're in the right mindset, I think, actually.
Yeah, it was, he has what's akin to tennis elbow in both his elbows. He's been dealing with it since last season. He played with it through the World Series, and he just needs to rest. Or, he stopped hitting 3 to 4 weeks ago because he was still feeling discomfort. He's just going to rest. And then it snowballs into, oh my God, he might need both elbows operated on. And this is just, I don't like the fact that he didn't get this. I don't, you know how guys are, though. You know how players are sometimes, where they think they can rehab an injury instead of, like, surgery is just, I understand surgery is a scary thing, and you don't really want to go through it.
Yeah.
Because there's someone else who could have had surgery who didn't have surgery. Who was it? Was it DJ LeMahieu? I can't remember who it was.
Well, especially for a pro athlete.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you don't know how you're going to recover from surgery.
Like, I understand the fear of the surgery thing, but then when it gets to this point where it's eating into the season than it would have if you had it right after last season ended, that's the problem I have with it. But I also see their side of it. I wouldn't be so quick to jump into surgery either. I would be frightened as well.
Yeah. Oh, I will say this, which is crazy to think about, because we all remember when Stanton signed that massive 13-year contract, Stacey. He's in year 11 of that contract. Got 2 years left of that deal, which is crazy that it was that long ago. It doesn't feel like it really was that long ago. But I have such a difficult time assessing Stanton's legacy with the Yankees and Stanton's career with the Yankees. And who knows, if he comes back and carries them to a World Series, all will be forgiven. But it all the time feels very, I don't know if the word is unfortunate, but definitely unfair at the way Yankee fans have treated him, when he really has been the consummate professional for this team. When he's on the field, he's played well, right? I mean, his average hasn't been great, but other than that, he gives you the power numbers that you expect. It's such a weird way to evaluate a guy's career. He gets so much hate for a guy who consistently every year gives you an average of 40 to 100 every single year, performs in the postseason. And is there a New York athlete who's handled New York better than Giancarlo Stanton? I mean, seriously, the guy isn't fazed by any of the booing, the questions, nothing. So it is very weird. I thought the comments from Judge were very interesting earlier today too.
Yeah, he said about the injury, we'll see what the doctors say about what's going on. I've been checking with him every day, talking to him. We went out to dinner. He's got a positive mindset with everything. I want a healthy G in the middle of the season. And then he added, fans will get on him about missing some games, but this guy is one of the toughest, hardworking guys I've ever seen. He's going to be fine when it comes down to it. It's just a little bump in the road. We'd rather have this now than in the middle of the season.
I mean, that's the right opinion to have. I think that's the sensible opinion. Yeah. And sometimes I guess the team does need the captain to come out and say that, but I do think it's the sensible opinion to have. Yes, all the games count the same,
of course,
but it matters. It would hurt a lot more if this news came around the All-Star break. It just would. If he comes back in mid-July and finishes the year with 18 homers, but tears it up in the postseason, no one will remember that he got hurt in spring training or care. So does it stink right now? Yeah. I will say, Stacey, they do say that if he does need surgery, their projected time to be sidelined will be 2 to 3 months. And I think with Stanton, with his age and his history, 3 months is probably the side that you'd lean on of him being out, which, again, is unfortunate, especially for the lineup. I think Stanton's bat does a lot for this lineup. It lengthens the lineup a lot. And, I think you need that when you have a couple of question marks, right? I think you know what you're going to get out of Cody Bellinger. But I think the big question mark is Paul Goldschmidt. And I think a guy like Stanton in that lineup really helps lengthen that lineup and gives Goldschmidt a lot more protection. Now you're expecting a lot more out of Goldschmidt when Stanton's out of the lineup. So, all of the production that Stanton was going to give you, and not even just necessarily the production, the fear in facing Stanton, a lot of that, goes away now when he's out of the lineup. And a lot of that goes on to other players that are at the bottom of this lineup. So it is kind of tough for these players to kind of adjust. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how they have this lineup. But I think now we've all kind of fallen onto the unfortunate opinion that Stanton's going to miss opening day. It's going to be until at least May.
Yeah, at least. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, and any breaking news so you don't have to check social media. There is a 14-day free trial. Coming up, it's spring training, and that means everyone is already overreacting to Jason Dominguez messing up in left field. So we'll tell you why you all need to calm down next. Thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember, every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath our pinned comment on every video Monday through Thursday, or you could join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club and you get top priority on Fan Mail Friday. The link is in the description. So let's peel back the curtain. When we do our rundown, we title each segment, and this segment is Jason Dominguez Overreaction, because my goodness, yes, I watched the game on Sunday. I saw the screw ups and I likened them to someone who's not used to playing in left field, and they're having him play left field in spring training. This is what spring training is for. He's there to learn how to play the position. He's not going to get it right away, but also you need to give him time to get to the position, and everyone needs to calm down. It's the overreaction is absolutely ridiculous. If you Google Jason Dominguez, the amount of articles and tweets from people, and it's hilarious to me.
That is the best point that you could have made, and that's the reaction that I had earlier today. If you Google his name, the amount of stuff that comes out that you would think he is the biggest butcher in the field you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. It is insane. And I know that we love to overreact in spring training. Everybody does. But Stacey, for the love of God, do yourself a favor if you're a Yankee fan. And if it's gonna aggravate you, take your blood pressure medication before Googling Jason Dominguez's name, because you would think he dropped blatant pop fly. You would think he made the Judge play in the World Series. You would think that's what happened. He misplayed a fly ball in the outfield, and then a ball in the gap. He kind of tried to cut it off a little too closely, got past him, and Bellinger was there to back him up. This is what spring training is for. Legitimately, it's for mistakes, for him learning. Do you think he's going to try and cut that ball off as sharply as he did in spring training again in the regular season? Obviously, no. So that's number one. Number two, Stacey, do you know how many total innings Jason Dominguez has played so far this year? 7. He has 4 at-bats and 7 innings, and we're already losing our minds. And it's not just the internet, by the way. I mean, it's articles written, it's tweets, of course, it's Instagram reels, it's everything imaginable. It's people on damn TV that are talking about, what are the Yankees going to do with Jason Dominguez's struggles? Can we let him figure it out for a second?
Yeah.
And I don't let these things kind of bother me a lot. I really don't. But this one really got to me, because here's the thing. I know the Yankees are a huge talking point. I know they're coming off an American League championship, and it's a really big deal if they just extended their manager and they're going to win a World Series in the next 3 years. I get it. I hear all of it. We both acknowledge it. And yeah, it's our life. We make a freaking living off talking about the Yankees. So I get it, Stacey. But aren't we big on wanting the players to come into the season confident? And have we not learned our lesson on completely railing on a guy constantly and destroying the player where he doesn't even have the motivation to play baseball anymore? I mean, the amount of players do they do it to themselves? Absolutely. But the amount of players the Yankee fans have essentially wanted to see fail and have just torched the guy into failing in himself. Aren't we rooting for Jason Dominguez? Aren't we rooting for him to have a good year? Aren't we rooting for, by the way, a 22-year-old kid to be able to figure it out and go into the year with some confidence? Why are we trying to destroy his confidence before the calendar even turned to March?
Right.
I mean, think about it. The amount of vitriol going towards this guy who, again, has played 7 innings. He hasn't even played a full game in the outfield yet this year. The guy is getting killed out there, and I don't get it. It's like everybody was looking for a chance to pounce. And what kind of fan are you? And I'll be the first one, Stacey, regardless of what he does in spring training, he would have to be unbelievably horrible for the Yankees to not give him until at least June to figure it out in the field. And if he's awful by June, then they're going to have to figure things out. But they're going to let him figure it out. If you think the growing pains are going to happen in spring training, think again. They're going to happen in the regular season too. You're going to see it. He's a 22-year-old kid learning a position he's literally never played before. Let him figure it out. But it feels like everybody was looking to pounce on this kid and destroy him immediately for not being able to figure out left field. He's not a Gold Glover like Brett Gardner in day one. It is just wild. And Stacey, it's just, we've seen this with a lot of Yankees in the last few years, where the fans just destroy the guy and his confidence is shot. And I don't want this to happen with Jason Dominguez.
Well, I'd like to ask the older Yankee fans who are in my age range, do you remember what Melky Cabrera looked like when he first came up?
I mean, there's plenty of examples, though. It's not even just that. There's a ton of examples.
But I'm thinking him specifically because they killed him when he first came up because he was really bad. And then he figured things out. But they were expecting him to continue to be bad. And it's like, you have to let these guys learn how to play their position and give them a chance. Like, I don't understand this mentality of, oh my God, if he screws up once, then get rid of him kind of thing, where did this come from? And why are you like this?
Especially in spring training when, I think it hurts Dominguez that he made these errors in the first, 2 spring training games, because he's the one most Yankee fans watch. The first couple of spring training games.
Yeah, everyone's excited, and then
you get bored and forget about it, and then you retune in late March when the season starts. So I get it. And is it frustrating? Sure. But killing this guy he's gonna, did you think this wasn't gonna happen? Did you think he wasn't gonna go through some growing pains? Did you think the mistakes weren't gonna appear? Of course they were. First of all, Jason Dominguez is touted as a 5-tool player. We all know that. But Stacey, he's a natural-born center fielder. He's not a left fielder. But he's a 5-tool athlete, okay? If you don't have confidence that he's going to be able to figure out left field, again, Boone made this comment too, and I think this is one of the good comments Boone made in the last day.
Yeah.
Where Boone came out and basically said, if you don't think Jason Dominguez has the athletic ability to figure out left field, you're out of your mind. And he's right in that comment. Jason Dominguez is a 5-tool player. He'll figure out the outfield. He will. But Stacey, can we give him time to figure it out? I mean, it's just the reaction and the vitriol that this 22-year-old got. Like, you're all just ready to kill him and pounce on him. Give it a break. I mean, the amount of articles, the Yankees are in a left field crisis. They have a problem in left field. I saw an article today saying, what are the options the Yankees can look at for left field?
Yeah.
It's 2 games. Give it some time to breathe. It's again, you saw a $330 million player in Aaron Judge, the captain of your team, a future Hall of Famer, make an error that was far worse than any of Jason Dominguez's errors in the biggest spot possible. Not to mention, after Aaron Judge did that, your other $330 million player made another error in one of the biggest spots in imaginable too, in the same damn inning, okay? In the biggest inning that those two have played in their careers, okay? Let's not get on. So you saw 2 $300 million players make massively worse errors in the World Series. And the reaction, I don't think, was equal to a 22-year-old making an error in a spring training game. You went from here to here. Let's calm down a little bit. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. On the one play, Luis Rojas said, I want to look at the video a little more, but watching it live, it seemed like he got away from his running form a little bit toward the end. That was the one that Bellinger had to run behind him to get. And the other one was just he lost it in the sun, which is understandable. In Florida, there's no second deck there. It's all sky. He has to get used to it. And as we said when we were talking about him working in left field, it's the perfect place to do it.
Yeah.
With that sky, it's the perfect place to do it because left field and Yankee Stadium, in both of them, are notoriously difficult positions to play because of the sky and because of where the sun is and everything else. So, yeah, it's 2 games, everyone. Just really give the guy a break. Because, like you said, people are waiting for a reason to pounce on this kid, and I don't think it's fair at all.
And what has he done to deserve that? I mean, like, people were always looking for a reason to pounce on Gary Sanchez. He was a guy that I thought unfairly, and Gary certainly had his problems, right? And certainly, certainly gave you reasons to pounce towards the end, right? With the lack of hustling and the lack of care, he gave you his reasons at times. But at least I got it. I get the reason. I don't agree with pouncing on a player because I think Yankee fans in part destroyed Gary Sanchez's confidence to the point where he's become a serviceable major league player since, and they destroyed his confidence. I think the Yankee fans did the same exact thing with Miguel Andujar and the same exact thing with Clint Frazier, where every mistake the guy made, you just look to kill the guy immediately. And what does that do for a player's confidence? Absolutely nothing. Don't do it to Jason Dominguez. He's a 5-tool superstar player. Do you remember how untradeable Gary Sanchez, Miguel Andujar, and Clint Frazier all were? Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar were so untradeable, it probably cost the Yankees a World Series. It probably did. Think about how untradeable those guys are. Jason Dominguez is 10 times more untradeable and 10 times more the prospect that those players were. Give it some time, please.
All right, coming up next, we're remembering Al Trautwig.
When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no place to get on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because, guys, with FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app's easy to use, and when you win, you get paid out instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets. And if your first $5 bet wins, that's all you need to do to win that $150. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, Stacey, if you frequently watch MSG, as most of us are Yankee fans, but also other New York fans watching the Knicks, watching the Rangers, over the last 2 decades, you've seen Al Trautwig on the pre-games, on the post-games, really involved in all MSG broadcasts. And prior to that, you saw him on Yankee games, famously working with Michael Kay, prior doing sports talk, sports coverage. Really and just the definition of a professional, right? I mean, a great broadcaster, a great local broadcaster. There's something to the amount of national attention that local New York broadcasters get. Just because it's New York City and it's big and the fan bases are large, Al Trautwig was known by everybody across the country in every market and was respected like no other. Really a true professional, and just really sad to see that he passed away earlier today at the age of 68.
Yeah, that was, I was shocked when I saw that. The first thing that I saw was someone screenshot Alan Hahn's tweet about it, and they posted it on Blue Sky, and I literally gasped, like just so loud, because I think the news about Roberta Flack already came out, that she had passed away, and then I was like, wait, what is happening today? And then also, rest in peace, Larry Dolan, owner of the Cleveland Guardians, also passed away on February 24th. It was a very busy day in celebrity land. But Al Trautwig, man, I mean, you think of the 90s Yankees, you think of him on MSG. You think of the 90s Knicks, you think of him on MSG. Like that voice, and he was just always so calm. And I was always excited to hear him, like whatever he had to say pre and post game, no matter what was happening in the game. It was just a pleasure to listen and watch Al Trautwig before and after all those games. He didn't only do that. He also did Rangers, obviously. He worked 16 Olympics. He did the Indianapolis 500, the Tour de France. He did the US Open tennis tournament. He won 4 National Emmy Awards, and he won more than 30 local sports Emmys in New York. Just amazing.
Incredible. Yeah, what a career. He passed through the complications of cancer, and I know his diagnosis had come out about a few years ago. He hadn't been on the MSG broadcast for a while at this point. And just really sad to see, really someone that you were looking forward to returning. We often take for granted, being from New York and living in New York, the level of talent that we have on our local broadcasts. We've discussed it a few times, but if you're a Yankee fan out there who hasn't listened to other teams' broadcasts, do yourself a favor if you have MLB TV and listen to the way other games are broadcasted. And the lack of professionalism and the straight up homerism towards teams. Some people like that. I get it. But compare that to what you hear in New York on a daily. And that's not just with, an example to an Al Trautwig or whatever. There are almost every team in New York has an unbelievable all-time great at the broadcast helm. I mean, think about the MSG broadcast booth back in the 90s. I mean, you had Marv Albert calling games with Al Trautwig leading into it. I mean, how ridiculous is that? You've had Sam Rosen for 30 years calling Ranger games. You've had Michael Kay for 30 years calling Yankee games. John Sterling just left the booth. You've had Susan Waldman going on forever. I mean, do I have to keep listing? Mike Breen does Knick games still day by day. Heck, we've got Ian Eagle doing the Nets games. No, people forget the Nets exist and Ian Eagle's doing those games. Brian Burke does the Islander games. You've got Ian Eagle that is out there he was doing the Jet games for a while, a national broadcaster on CBS. Bob Papa doing the New York Giants. I mean, talk about the Mets booth that is known as one of the best booths in all of sports. I mean, the list goes on, and I just listed every team in the New York metro area, and they've all got all-time great broadcasters. They've all got Hall of Fame-worthy broadcasters. They've all got guys who have won multiple Emmys in the broadcast booth. Not any other city can literally say that. And, we were lucky enough it doesn't just branch out from the play-by-play guys. It's got, behind-the-scenes guys. It's got, pre- and post-game guys like an Al Trautwig. It's just really sad to see something like this happen. This guy, as big of a hockey fan as people know that I am, he was a staple in my household for my entire life. Al Trautwig's voice was heard. So it's really sad to see.
Yeah. I took this blurb from the ESPN article that I took some of my info from because I liked this. It said, for many fans watching games on TV in New York, Trautwig's voice was often the first they heard. With a natural storytelling style, he used his pregame introductions to make big games at Madison Square Garden or Yankee Stadium feel even bigger, while rarely needing to raise the level of his voice.
Yeah, there's a talent to it. And there are certain voices that you hear in the intro. The intro is such a big thing when it comes to a sports game because you watch the pregame and you get excited, but there's something about that pause and the game actually starting and the B-roll shot from the outside of the stadium or the field or whatever it is, and that voice that brings it in. And certain voices capture it and certain voices don't. But there are select few voices that you hear introing a game and you just know it's a big game. I link it to Joe Buck calling a baseball game. When you see the camera shot from outside of a baseball stadium and you hear Joe Buck's voice introducing a game, it just feels like a big game. And there's Doc Emmerich calling a hockey game, Marv Albert calling a basketball game, and Al Trautwig calling a hockey or a basketball game. You just know that there is a big thing coming. And Al Trautwig did 82 Knicks and Ranger games per year pretty much. So it's not the same thing. But there are so many vivid moments from my high school years of the Rangers Stanley Cup runs. They didn't win one, but, of the Rangers going to the Stanley Cup final. And hearing him lead in those games, I mean, it is ingrained in my head as a Ranger fan. So, it's just one of those things. And, it's crazy to see because unfortunately with the age of guys, it feels like every year we keep losing another prominent figure in sports. And, it really is sad.
Yeah, for me, it was also college because late high school and college, where I really got I was always into watching sports, but then when I realized I wanted to go to school for broadcasting, I watched as much stuff as I could and taped on VHS. I had games, I had pre and post games, I had Sports Center taped. I taped everything because I studied how everyone did their jobs because I wanted to do the same thing as they did. And Al Trautwig was one of those guys that I studied when I was in college. And it's just, like you said, we're all getting older and we're losing more and more of these guys. And it's, really sad. This is a big blow to New York sports, really.
Yeah, no, it is. You couldn't have said it better. It really is. It's heartbreaking. It's not fair in the sports world, but these are unfortunately we've had to have too many of these conversations over the years, and unfortunately it's not going to end. It's the circle of life. And but rest in peace to Al Trautwig, really a consummate professional and made New York City look great, and proud to have him call our teams.
Yep. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. A lot of people leaving really great messages on Twitter. Like I said, Alan Hahn, Michael Kay, like anyone who worked with him was basically like, he was the best dude. He helped me out. That's what you always want to hear about these guys. Like, you want them to do their job well, and you also want to hear that they help other people out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in an industry where people are often so bloodthirsty and going after each other nonstop, we've both seen it plenty. You love to see the story of the guy who made it and still helped everybody else out.
Yep. And what I found out today, I didn't realize. When he was younger, he was a stick boy for the Islanders, and he worked with the Nets when they were in the ABA, when my dad was watching the New York Nets in the ABA in the 70s. Yeah,
the New York Nets playing out in Long Island.
Yep. Yep. So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, you can find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor in baseball. His latest episode, I believe, was talking about Yankee Stadium not playing New York after losses. So if you want to hear his opinion about that, the Red Sox fans' opinion about that, go listen to Locked On MLB. You can find it on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.